What if the delay you're frustrated by isn't God's silence, but His preparation? Many people pray for a new door, a new season, a breakthrough, but they miss the signs that God is already moving. Because before God opens the next door, He often changes your heart first. The Bible shows a pattern. Again and again, before God promoted someone, He prepared them in ways they didn't expect. Gently, if you've been waiting, don't quit yet. Some of the signs you're about to hear may already be happening in your life. Stay until the end, because the final sign is the one many believers misunderstand, and it could completely change how you see this season. We often ask God to open new doors, but before He does, He closes old ones, not to punish us, to prepare us. Abraham had to leave his homeland. Joseph lost his position before receiving a throne. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading a nation. Jesus Himself spent 40 days in the wilderness before beginning His ministry. Notice the pattern. Before promotion, there is separation. Sometimes relationships change. Sometimes opportunities disappear. Sometimes a job ends. Sometimes the future becomes uncertain. It feels like loss, but heaven often calls it preparation. Isaiah 43 reminds us, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past." God cannot fill hands that refuse to release what He has already asked us to let go. If doors are closing around you, don't immediately assume God has abandoned you. He may simply be making room for something you cannot yet see. One of the clearest signs that God is preparing a new season is that your deepest desires begin to shift. Things that once consumed your attention suddenly lose their power. Success alone no longer satisfies. Approval from people becomes less important. Temporary pleasures begin to feel empty. Instead, you find yourself longing for peace, for truth, for God's presence. This transformation doesn't happen by human effort. It is the work of the Holy Spirit. Psalm 37 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." Notice carefully, sometimes God doesn't simply give you what you desire. He changes what you desire. When your heart begins to align with His, you become ready to walk through doors that once would have destroyed you. Waiting is one of God's greatest classrooms. We naturally want certainty. We want clear timelines. We want every answer before taking the next step. But faith grows differently. 2 Corinthians says, "We walk by faith, not by sight." Noah built before rain. Abraham walked before knowing. Peter stepped before standing. Faith almost always comes before evidence. If God explained everything, trust would no longer be necessary. Sometimes heaven feels quiet, not because God has stopped working, but because He is teaching you to recognize His voice instead of relying on visible circumstances. The next door often opens only after we learn to keep walking, even when we cannot yet see where the path leads. Many people assume every open opportunity comes from God. That isn't always true. Some doors are opened by pressure, others are opened by fear. But the doors God opens carry a different atmosphere. His direction brings peace, not panic, even when the assignment is difficult. Philippians tells us that the peace of God guards our hearts and minds. Notice, peace doesn't always remove uncertainty. It guards you while uncertainty remains. You may still have questions, you may still feel weak, but deep inside there is an unusual confidence, a quiet assurance. You cannot fully explain it, yet you know God is near. That kind of peace cannot be manufactured. It is one of heaven's clearest confirmations. Perhaps the greatest sign that God is preparing your next season is not that your circumstances suddenly improve. It is that you become more like Christ while you wait. Patience grows, humility grows, compassion grows, faith grows. The greatest miracle isn't simply reaching a new destination. It is becoming the person God created you to be along the journey. Remember, God is more interested in your character than your comfort, because character can carry blessings that comfort alone never could. So if you've been wondering whether God is preparing your next door, ask yourself these questions. What has He been removing? How has He been changing my heart? What has waiting been teaching you? Has His peace become stronger than my fear? If the answer is yes, perhaps the next door is closer than you think. Don't stop trusting now. The God who began the work in you is faithful to complete it. If this message encouraged you, write "I trust your timing" in the comments as your declaration of faith. And if someone you love is waiting on God today, share this video with them, because sometimes the reminder they need arrives just before the next door opens.